How would you like to make your first million? Today we have Kristin Zhivago with us, and she is the CEO and founder of Zhivago Partners, a revenue growth systems company. She has decades of experience performing revenue growth turnarounds for companies all sizes from startups to IBM. She is the author of Roadmap to Revenue, How to Sell the Way Your Customers Want to Buy, and is a world-recognized expert on the customer's buying process. So tell us, Christine, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
These are startup concepts, but they include some of the things that I teach all the time. The first one is don't believe your own spreadsheets. The numbers that you put in those spreadsheets that you're going to show to investors or, just go over yourself at 4 a.m, usually are inaccurate in the sense that you need to multiply them by 3 in order to represent real reality. And things happen that you don't expect, especially with software and some of the tech products, which is what I've been dealing with for decades. The second thing is the most important thing to the success of your business, besides not spending more than you take in, is your customer's truth. Nothing matters more than your customer's truth. That's where the money comes from. That's what drives all the buying decisions, and you need to know what it is. I have a method for that I've worked out, working with hundreds of companies and interviewing thousands of customers. But that's the most important thing. It's more important than picking channels or anything else that you can do to bring money in. I would say it's even more important than getting investment, because if you lock in your knowledge, if you really do understand customers, you're going to sell and you may not need investors. The third thing is selling to investors is different than selling to customers. So you might be successful selling to an investor, but then you have to sell to customers, and you can't guess. Guessing is a road to disaster. So you don't want to do that. Don't assume you know what your customers are thinking. You have to ask people, either people that are thinking of buying from you and you haven't got new customers yet. You ask the open-ended questions I talk about in my book, or you have even 3 or 4 or 5 customers. That's enough to get bankable information about how they bought and why they bought. The fourth thing is that AI can help you, and I use it every single day. Every CEO I know uses it, but it can't tell you the mindset of the customer, bless you, when they set out to buy. And that's what you need to know. Their desires, their concerns, and their questions. That's their mindset. That's the most important thing you need to know. AI cannot help you. It can dance around it a little bit, but not the same results as if you talk to customers. And the last thing is get over yourself. You will not be successful if it's all about you and how powerful you want to be, or even how much money you want to make. If you don't solve somebody's problem, and if you don't treat your customers right and your workers, you will not succeed. You'll just struggle. So that's the most important thing. Put your ego outside. Forget about what you think or what you feel or any of that, and lead the company as a calm but compassionate leader.
So the real truth of your customers, I remember like making the first million is clearly a marketing and sales exercise more than that even a product, right? Even if the product is not good, if you understand this process that you described, right? What are the needs of the clients? Still you can sell a million, and then you can even improve your product. The other thing that is important is I remember that the only way when I became free in my business was when I increased my sales. Because when you increase your sales, you can start to employ people that they are better than you at what you do. But if you don't increase your sales, you're stuck. You will be a solo entrepreneur for life. I was a solo entrepreneur for 2 years because the sales that I was doing, the word allowed me, if I employ someone, then I pay. So when I increase the sales is when the whole transformation happened, to the point that one day my team sent me home and tell me, Harry, you need to come to here anymore. Don't come. They told me, my manager told me, clearly you have nothing to do, so you come here to talk to us. Stay at home. We go once a month and we tell you what we're doing with the company. We're doing great, by the way, and we can do it without you. I remember that I told Eva, my manager, I said, yes, and who's going to buy the paper for the photocopy? You tell me who's buying the paper for the photocopy. And Eva told me, Harry, we can get a word on paper for the photocopy. Don't worry about it. Just go home. But they were better than me in sales. Something that take me longer than they were way more effective. However, if I didn't increase my sales, I never could bring Eva because Eva needs to get paid. And actually very good. And I was happy to pay her very good because it solved a lot of problems. So what is your message for people and even startup founders that doesn't take sales seriously, that doesn't take marketing seriously, and they come to you with this big ego? Look, my product is the best in the world. It's gonna change the world. I don't need you. It will sell by itself.
Right.
So
I've never seen a product
so
sell by itself.
so so what's your message for those young startup founders that you hear say this comment? Usually they have big ego, beast, like you said, big get over yourself. Usually because of a lack of experience. Yeah, I don't blame them because I was that one also when I started out and I had to change myself. So let's face it, you talk about the ego, let's talk about this because entrepreneurs, we all have ego. Otherwise, we won't be entrepreneurs. We think that we can do better. However, if we don't get over ourselves, we're never going to grow. And definitely, if you don't take sales seriously, at least for me, sales, increasing myself was the only thing that gave me freedom in my life. Nothing else. So, in my case, so because you are on the space, what message do you have for it for founders that especially go from 0 to 1 million, which we discussed before the broadcast, is the worst million, but the most important million at the same time, and they are not taking sales seriously, and they see you, they say, "Oh, she's gonna teach me about sales," and they don't take sales seriously.
Well, they just won't succeed. I mean, I had a client once who was just a lifelong learner. So he had a lot of mentors, and I was one for a while anyway, until he taught him what he needed to know to do what he needed to do next. So he went off and did that. He's been very successful. But he had a mentor, and that mentor said to him, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Everybody knows that. That's an old saying. And then the mentor looked at him and said, that's why I look for thirsty horses. Okay.
Oh wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really comes down to that. I've been in business a very long time, and I basically dedicated my life to helping thirsty horses, entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders who are absolutely dying to learn more and get better every day. And they are willing to say, okay, I might not be right about that assumption that I had. And they're willing to listen to customers, and the customers might have a better idea. And by the way, they're willing to hire people who are smarter than them in certain areas, learn from them as well. I'm in a program right now run by Eric Partaker called 10X. And it's about 10xing your. I've learned a lot from him. I was in another course with him, and I learned more than I ever had in anything educational. So he's a good guy. But he talks a lot about the systems. And I've always been a proponent of you can't scale without good systems. So one of the things we do now in our business is we look for sales stoppers, the things that frustrate your customers when they're trying to buy. I mean, how many times have you tried to buy something and been frustrated? You couldn't find it. They didn't understand you. You go to
Tickets
the
for
website.
planes. Sometimes you want to book a ticket for plane and it's so difficult. The process takes longer that you get so upset. And
Yeah.
I still you want to buy it because it's a good price, but it's driving you crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But sellers do not realize how frustrated buyers are. And I interview buyers constantly. I've interviewed many buyers, and it's worse than ever. The more automated people get, the more they remove themselves from the customer. It
You
used
cannot even talk.
Exactly. I mean, it used to be you'd call a company and you'd get some nice old lady who would turn you on to, oh, that's Bob. You need Bob. Go talk to Bob. Now you have to go through voicemail hell and press one for this and two for that. And they don't even have
And send
your,
us an email.
or go to our website. We're like, we already did. That's why we're here. And they put up chat bots, but chat bots can only do so much. They're scripted. I mean, they're not bad. You can make a good AI agent, for example, but there is no replacement. There's no there's no substitute for a caring person at the other end who is accessible. There is no substitute for that.
At the end of the day, well, so far what we have discovered or what we have seen is, yeah, AI could help you to get the lead from call to one at certain extent, but a real person needs to call in order to close it. This is
Yeah, that's true.
how we are today as we speak. I don't know in the future it's gonna improve, but so far it's not that smart.
It is getting
Well, it
smarter
is
by the
smart,
day. Yeah,
but
yeah,
to close
but
at least a high ticket pro, we are not there yet. So,
no.
what's your
And
view? What's your view? Do you think that will happen in the future? A high ticket sales without
well,
a real human
okay,
interaction?
let's talk about high ticket sales. So that's one of my specialties is business to business, what I call high scrutiny sales. In my book, I talk about what I've discovered. There's four types of businesses in the world based on the amount of scrutiny that the person applies to the purchase. So there's light scrutiny. You see it, maybe one question, you buy it. The candy bar at the checkout counter. That's it, man. You're done. Medium scrutiny is you see it, you ask several questions, and this is like clothing or a simple software program or something. And there's nobody else involved typically. And then heavy scrutiny is okay, now there's a salesperson, there's a contract, there's lots of questions, there's many buyers. And that's in the consumer side, that's houses, cars, that type of thing. In the business to business side, it's the more expensive software. You get into thousands of dollars and even, tens of thousands of dollars. Then there's intense scrutiny. And that's everything that happens with the high scrutiny product, but you get married. It's a long process. You're there for a long time. You have services, that are ongoing, that type of thing. You can't market an intense or heavy scrutiny product the way you would a light scrutiny product. This is a mistake a lot of people make. They don't give enough information. They don't answer enough questions on their website. They don't make it easy for the person to understand what they're selling and how it would help them. And at the other end, if you're selling a light scrutiny product, you don't need to do a newsletter for people on teaching them how to chew gum. It's just like, okay, you're just getting this branding message out. So the buying process is different, and you really have to know where you fit. Every time I mention this, people who are listening say, "Oh yeah, that." And in my book, I just block out the whole thing and answer all the questions about how those sales proceed, what the questions are, who's involved, and so on. The other big mistake people are making right now, and it's is actually making it worse, is they're picking the channels where they put the message. Everybody says to me, where should I be advertising? Channel should I be using? Social, email, whatever. And my answer is it doesn't matter until you have the message right. You can spend your entire marketing budget promoting something that nobody cares about. And a lot of people do that. It's one of the reasons that I estimate that 80 to 90% of all marketing dollars are wasted because that's what they do. They focus on the channel and not the customer's truth, what they really want to hear, the promises they want you to make, and how well you're making them or keeping them.
So, how we can you tell us a little bit more about some secrets how we can find out our customers' truth?
Yes, it's very simple, actually. And again, I spell this out in my book. Chapter 3 is an instruction set. First, I teach you about how to think like a buyer instead of thinking like a seller. The minute you start a company, you start thinking like a seller. And you're now have this big gap between you and what the customer's thinking. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, how do you find out? I've worked out this method. I spell it out in my book because I can't do this for everybody in the world. It just, you've got to find somebody who's good with people and will do a good job of interviewing. Second, use the questions in my book, which are very open-ended. How do you feel about our product and service? How's the experience been buying the company? Did you have any frustrations? That type of thing. What were you looking for in your own words when you set out to buy our product? There's an interesting question I ask. If you were the CEO of this company tomorrow, what's the first thing you would focus on or fix? So now when I take this back to the CEO, they go, oh, wow, that's the important thing. Okay. You're looking for sales stoppers, the things where they say, oh, that's enough. I'm not going to do business with them because whatever, they don't get me, or they don't know what my concerns are. They don't answer my questions. Okay. That's what you do. You interview, you create reports, you transcribe, you record them, you tell them you're recording, and everybody opens up because then I tell them the report is going to be anonymized. So I'm not going to say, this is what Joe Blow said. I'm going to say, here's what everybody said in answer to this question. And all the company names and everything are taken out because I don't want the readers, the managers, to be biased about those responses. And it allows the person to speak freely. And they're way more polite if they talk to you personally, and you won't get the whole truth. So you have to hire somebody that you trust that can ask these questions. And I've trained a lot of people to do this. By the way, AI cannot do this. If I get an
Why?
answer,
Why?
okay, I'll tell you. If a customer says to me, it was okay, AI will record, customer said it was okay. I will stop them and say, that does not sound like a resounding yes. It wasn't, wow, it was great. It was okay. Please drill down for me and tell me what the real issue was. Now, the customer thinks, wow, she heard me. She's listening, not to what I said, but what I really meant. And then they'll just open up because you've passed that little test. People, the first lesson you learn when you're a baby, when you come out into the world, is who loves me and who doesn't, who really cares about me and who's faking it. And AI can't care about anybody as much as they use your name and they try to personalize everything, but they're not caring. We've lost that whole idea of what it means to care about people, take care of them. And in my new book, which I'm still writing, is called Love, Leverage, and Logistics: How You and Your Company Can Change the World. And it's about the idea that companies are communities of people. And if you take care of your workers and your customers, you're going to build a community of caring. And that, in fact, makes the world a better place. That's my big goal.
Okay, the customer experience that we also see companies out there that they spend most of the money trying to get new clients, trying to bring new strangers to the company, and then all this big database that they have with people that actually bought from them, they are just neglected. They always have a new marketing boy because they want more clients and more clients and more clients, more strangers. And getting strangers is expensive. You need to find a search the horse, like you said, and
Yeah.
this is an expensive exercise, right? Whether
Yep.
you can have a lot of thirsty horses, or maybe they're not that thirsty because they bought from you once, but they might need food. They might need, I don't know, shampoo, something, and they are neglecting. So, what is your take on this? The more we see companies, for example, if I give you a budget, if I give you $100, how much money of this $100 you will use into acquire new clients? How much of this $100 you will use to build and develop the relationship with those ones that you have so you can offer alternative products?
I think it's actually if you split the budget, I would split the budget in three ways. New customers, one third. Taking care of existing customers, because by the way, they review you now. Customers can talk to each other. That wasn't true 50 years ago or 30 years ago, but it's true now. If they don't like you, everybody's going to know about it. And they can even put the review in Amazon while you're thinking of buying, okay? You're standing there going, I have money in my hand, I want to buy. What do people think? And if you haven't been taking care of customers and doing the right thing, man, you're just dying a slow death. That's how it happens. So a third for new people, a third for taking care of your existing customers. And there's a lot of ways to do that that you haven't even thought about. And then the next third is building the systems that make it easy for them to buy. The systems and the processes and the training and all the things that you have to do, not just to make it easy for you to buy, for the customer to buy, but easy for them to find you before the sale, then during the selling process, and then how you treat them after the sale. Those three things are the absolute foundations of a successful business. If you don't do that,
So
you won't survive.
Again, we're dividing the budget in three. One third for new clients and the other two parts. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, one third for taking care of existing customers, making sure that they're fine, that you're checking up on them, that maybe you call them, if it's a heavy or intense thing, you check back, see how you're doing, all of that. And then the last third is making sure that your systems and processes make it easy for them to do business with you.
I understand. Very good. I get.
Okay.
Something that no one pay attention is about how to make this system to have less friction in the system, which is actually, I think that this is one of the only thing that Amazon survived the dot-com crisis is because the last money they have, they put it in that.
Yeah. At the very beginning, they put it in that.
Yeah, exactly.
When he first started, I was working in Silicon Valley and I thought to myself, wow, this is not a company saying, I have a product or I have a service. This is a company saying, I'm going to make it easy for you to buy. And if you made a list of every single thing they do in Amazon for the whole world to see, that makes it easier and easier every time you go in there, you say, oh, look, they've got this now. I didn't realize, what other people bought, what they thought of it, reviews with pictures, AI summaries.
Buy with one click. They invented that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
One click.
That's their whole, they did a customer-friendly infrastructure. That's what their product is. And they started with books. It didn't matter what they were selling. Now they sell everything. And he's a billionaire. Okay.
Yeah. Just because he mastered this concept. Unbelievable, right? Because of he implemented this. Very impressive, actually. And like I said, the dot-com bubble, they survived.
Yeah.
His
tagline, his basic goal now is making it easier for do business with us, like making to be the most customer friendly company in the world. That's their current mantra.
Kristin, because the other tech companies, they were taking all the money to get new clients, right? To show that growth.
Well, they didn't make it easy to buy.
They didn't put a third for what you said, remove the friction to make it easy to buy. So they took all the budget and they say, you know what, we're going to have as much client as possible. Let's go and get as much market share.
Yeah.
And they buy or die.
Yeah. And, yeah, that's true.
And the other ones, they decide the other model, which is expensive. At the beginning, it could be expensive, right? Like, but after I find out, for example, that they will say, well, if you don't like the product, you change it. Yeah, I find out that it's the supplier who pays for it, right? But to the eyes of the company is, again, removing friction from the client, right? That, you don't like it, don't worry. We send you another one. Don't worry about it. As less friction as possible, and they keep always developing. I was in the facility not long ago, inside the facility, see all the dynamic of Amazon, and they are always certainly trying to get new ways to reduce as much friction as possible and have become when it comes to sales and fantastic success. So for tech founders, okay, or for tech companies out there that don't follow this model and then they're doing so well and then next year they went to zero and nobody understands what happened. This principle, these three, this your $100 you wisely divided in three. What this is the same message that you have for a top founder as well as for big companies, or you would change it a little bit more startup versus big company?
Obviously, every company is unique. And that's something people forget, that if you're selling the same thing somebody else is selling and the customer buys from you, one of the reasons you want to know the customer truth in that situation is because they have very specific things that made them buy from you. You're the leader. You make decisions every day about how you're going to do things and how you train your people, and you have different kinds of people than the competitor does. You make different decisions. You have different policies. You have different ways of designing and getting the cost out of a product so you can offer it at a lower price. Whatever it is, you're making decisions all day. That makes your company and everything it does unique. And if you understand what that unique thing is, then you can make that promise. And by the way, my most famous saying is that marketing makes promises on behalf of the company. That's branding. Your brand is whether you keep or break those promises. And it's usually a conditional statement. They're real good at this, but they're not so good at that. That's what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's your brand. And if you don't know what that brand is, you think they care about this promise when they don't, they care about this promise, you're going to blow the whole thing. That's marketing in a nutshell. That's the whole thing right there. So your job is to know the promise they want you to keep and then figure out how those systems and processes and people and policies are going to keep those promises. And then your customers become your sales force. They actually tell everybody about their nice experience. You get momentum beyond your own efforts. That's
Hmm.
a very satisfying thing that
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah, and coming back to Amazon, you might think that you find Amazon online, but probably when you needed something, a friend told you, "Look, there is this website, it's amazing. You just buy from them, and you don't like it, you return it and arrive very quick." And this is how we all find out. We did.
Yeah.
It's an online company, but the clients actually becomes your sales force, and then this is very cost effective.
Yes,
So
it is.
treating the customers right is the best thing that you can do for your business. And the other thing Tina, I want to ask you about the connotation of sales, because we say, well, Kristin is going to teach us about sales, she's a sales expert. I don't like salespeople. Salespeople, oh my God, they're always selling this and this. But let me tell you something. Out of the 500 millionaires that we interview in this podcast, I haven't found anyone yet that tell me, Harry, I hate sales. None of them. Actually, they get excited. Yeah, there is. So you see that successful people, the multimillionaires, they all love sales. They all love that conversation, this dynamic that we're talking. And then, but the general connotation out there is, oh, sales people, I don't like it. Sales people are bad. And look, until the sales doesn't happen, society doesn't move.
I know that,
They,
but
they,
I have to address this question. It's a
okay,
very
okay,
good
okay, go
question.
for it.
You opened up a big one here. Every CEO I've talked to, when I say to them, "Do you like being sold to?" The answer is no, I hate it. I get 25 in-mails a day from LinkedIn and they're all trying to sell me and I'm sick of it. I don't even pay any attention to it. As consumers, they don't like it. Nobody wants to be talked into doing something. What they want is to be able to contact a real person and get honest answers to their legitimate questions. Now, salespeople are told to overcome their objections, which is very insulting to the customer. I mean, if I've looked at and done all my research and gone around, tried to buy something that's very important to me, and then some salesperson tried to argue with me about my decisions and my choices and my desires. They say, well, you don't need that. I'm like, well, yes, I do. They don't want to be argued with. So when you're selling, that's another thing. Customers will never tell salespeople what they're really thinking when they're being sold to because they're playing poker. They're negotiating. They don't want you to argue with them. After they buy, then they'll talk, which is why my method works, because they want you to succeed. So selling is broken. Selling as a push it through, persuade kind of thing is broken. People will avoid salespeople's calls, the spam risk, all of that. We're done with selling. What it should be is that there's a customer service type of person whose only goal is to make it easy for them to buy. And not necessarily even from them, but just to be helpful, with their knowledge of the market and answering the questions and all of that. And then the customer thinks, wow, that was really a good experience. I'll see what else I could buy from them, even if they don't buy that product. That's a really key thing to understand. Again, treat them right, give them what they want, don't argue with them, don't push them, just help them. And they'll respond positively and they'll refer other people to you, even if they don't buy from you. So I think people are just still thinking CEOs love sales because they think it's the key. It's completely broken when you're on the consumer side.
What? So, in order to get an honest sale, or well, not an honest sale, in order to get this relationship, to build this relationship with the prospect, okay, um, why do you think that there is any way that AI can help? In what AI can help and what AI cannot help when it comes to sales?
AI is very good at looking at marketplaces. For example, one of the things you can do is you can say, okay, what are the promises my competition is making and how well are they keeping them or breaking them? That's part of a service we offer to our clients. So right away, you understand, first of all, that you're probably making the exact same generic promises that your competitors are making. And the customers don't even care about those. They're like, okay, fine, you all say that, but I want to know about this thing that matters to me, right? So that's one thing. And you find out where their weaknesses are. Like these are the promises they're breaking, and we could keep them better. Okay. But if you haven't talked to your customers yet, you're still going to be misled by AI because it's telling you what everybody else does, but what they do might not be right in the eyes of your customers. You cannot replace what the customers think. They're just telling you what everybody else does. They're not telling you what your customers actually want in their own words. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's good at that. It's good at looking at industry trends and sort of those generic big things, but it's not good at giving you specific advice for your unique situation.
So, how can we find out what they really want?
Well, that's what the customer truth method is all about. That's what the book is all about. I've given the world instructions on how to do this.
Okay, so where can we buy this book? If
Amazon.
someone is in love, yeah,
Yeah.
look, and we come back to Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There are other places I'm going to be putting it, but the book's been on Amazon. It's in Kindle version and hardcover. It's a
Okay,
little better because I map out the buying processes and it works better. But yeah. And it's
so
called Roadmap to Revenue, How to Sell the Way Your Customers Want to Buy. That's the name of the book.
wow. And then, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works, and tell us other places that they can buy your books.
Well, first of all, I'm only on Amazon. I did that on purpose. I'd got away from all the other sellers, but there's a lot of new avenues now that I'm starting to say, okay, I'll go on these other online areas. ZhivagoPartners.com is our site. But if you type Kristin Zhivago into Google or ChatGPT or any of those other search tools, you're going to find me, and I'm all over the place. I write all the time, and I'm in a lot of podcasts. Yeah, it won't be hard to, it won't be hard to find me. And our website's very good at explaining the types of work we do to help people raise their revenue.
So based on this, and this is from my own experience, I can share with all our listeners that because we want all entrepreneurs listening this podcast, and even those ones that are not listening the podcast, we want them to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. And I can tell you that if you want freedom in your life, because this is what happened to me, because I had this freedom, then I can take care of my health, I can take care of my family, I can spend time with people that I love. But all this only was possible for me when I increased my sales. The first 2 years, 3 years of a startup founder, it was Monday to Sunday, no stop, wearing all the hats, running like crazy, try to get off every fire that appeared in the company. You for a year, you there for 2 years, and you grow, but you cannot grow that much because then you don't have time to do operation, you don't have time to do things. I remember my first company was in property in London. And I remember my manager said, okay, we need to paint this room. And they were taking the phone call as call my business nickname Matt. Okay, Matt, we need this room painted. So this is the key. Come here, collect the key, go and paint it. And I was saying my company, I said, wow, this is amazing. If you knew how it was before, Harry needs to go to B&Q, buy the paint, and stay the whole night painting. He will nobody else because in the morning the new tenant is coming. So, but you increase your sales, the company have enough resources to make this life easy for everybody.
Yeah, it's
So,
true.
and whatever say otherwise, I don't know. This is my own experience. I cannot speak for other experiences. But for me, it changed my life from day and night. And since then, I'm a big fan and a big advocate from sales, right? I do some conference all over the world about the topic, selling one too many. Yeah. And same thing, how the dynamic works. Because how many times have you go to an event and they say, how was the event? And everybody, oh, Harry, I hate it. It was so much selling. Oh, they do the whole, every speaker was selling, selling. Go to this event, everybody's selling. It's just a sales pitch. It's just, and I'm like, wow, how bad need to be the speaker that out of the audience, this is the only feedback you get?
Mm,
How about they need to be all of them?
yeah.
That public, this is at least if you do something that makes sense, at least they will say, you know what, we went to this conference, everybody was saying, but Harry, oh wow, Harry was amazing, but the rest everybody was selling. But you ask around and don't go to this conference, all selling. And so we trying to make an effort to train speakers all over the world how to we don't know how to call it. Yeah, we try to call it something that maybe they can understand. We try to call it on the cover selling. So because if you don't tell them that they're gonna sell something, then but look, you need to. They have to trust you. They have to like you. You need to offer some value.
Yeah, the value
You
is the
have to
big
show
deal.
that and show that you care
Explain. And
and
I
show that you
don't think
really care.
people should not sell. They should
Yeah,
explain.
exactly. If you go to
They
the
explain. They make it something that the person wants to hear and will benefit from.
what if you actually show on the stage that you really care,
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
care, that you have
You're
a
not
problem,
pushing. You're
that
yeah,
you have something that you deeply care, and rather than spend the whole time
yeah,
pushing an outcome, try to talk honestly with the audience and say, look, I really care for what I have. I really care for you, and I think that I genuinely can help you. You see?
that's why
You,
Simon Sinek talks about the why instead of the
mm-hmm.
what. Is about what sell you all, but it's really about why we did this. I mean, if you look at Apple and Steve Jobs, that iPad, they was putting 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's why we did
That was the
this. That,
the
but that
promise.
was the product. That's right. I mean, that's really good selling.
Mhm.
Explaining, telling somebody something they really want to hear. is very
Mhm.
different from selling, which is what you want them to hear, right? Different.
And if it seems easy, I'm telling you it's not. So that's why you get an expert like Kristin will make your life easy because sounds
Yeah.
very easy what we're talking about. I'm telling you it's not.
Well, once the customer in your head, I will say
Well,
things get a lot
that
easier.
part, that
Yeah.
part, getting
Yeah.
your customer in the head, exactly because of this. Because everybody that is selling, what is in the head is I'm selling. I got
Yeah.
my sales mentality and
Yeah.
mentality.
I have a
What shall I
quota.
what shall I tell them so they buy? And they
Yeah.
never think how the buyers actually are thinking of how is the behavior. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
one to one is a challenge. You might one to many in front of the stage, in front of some people. So we have a lot of job to do. So thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
for all of you following the podcast, our next episode of Let's Talk about how brave entrepreneurs like Christine break that wall and make the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.